Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett, and today I am going to get into a video on Evil Twin. This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, please check out that. I'll have a link down in the description and the card and whatever. But as far as that goes, part 2, we're going to focus on business side. And that's fairly important because the fact is how do you protect yourself on a business side, and what should you do? Now, I don't condone any malicious activity using this knowledge, but this educational is pretty much if you know how this is done, or at least a general idea of how it's done, then you'll have a general idea how to protect yourself. So let's jump on in. Now, as far as things goes, what would end up happening is on many companies and other interfaces, they would have it where their Wi-Fi is open, but you have to log in order to do anything. So as an example, let's bring up this. This is an actual company. I just pulled up their login and just use it as an example. But let's say that this is a company that you want to deal with. Maybe you want to get their sales information or something like that. It doesn't really matter. You want to get into. So, and I'm not telling you to do it with that particular company. It's just an example. What would end up happening is a normal marketing, sales, or whatever. They'll log in through the Wi-Fi. They will get that interface. They'll log in, put a username and password in there, and there you go. They're in. Well, the thing is you as a hacker, you may not know the username and password, so you can't get in. You can definitely get into the Wi-Fi, but there's not much you can do there besides, basic stuff, which, it's not going to help you at all. So what you'll do is you'll either bring a device that's about this big that you can put in your pocket that you pre-program, or just have a laptop or something like that, a tablet or phone or something like that you can actually transmit Wi-Fi out. And basically what the idea is you want to actually have the device mimic the legitimate Wi-Fi source, and the marketing sales or whatever, they will log in through your Wi-Fi spot. They will get the username and password. They'll put the username and password in there, and now your computer or device or whatever it may be, it will log that information, right? And basically there you go. You have a username and password. You keep the Wi-Fi source up, and the more it uses it, the more logins you get, username and passwords. And you can log in later, or you can tamper with what's going on there right now. And that's fairly important because what happens is let's say, I'm not telling you to do this, but let's just put this out there. Let's say Joe Blow slept with your sister and also slept with 3 other people, right? So you're mad at them for whatever reason, but you have this ability. You know that they work at a company that has an interface like this. They use the interface. So you would get them to log in through your stuff, or at least hope that they would. Once that happens, while the connection is open, you can actually have it look like they are looking up child porn. That will get them investigated, get them fired, wreck their life. It's not a joke. You can actually do something like that. So it can get very serious very quick. Or let's say that's medical. Maybe it's a hospital of some type. The person, they can screw with medical records or do whatever. I think you need a sign thing for prescriptions, but you get my drift. Basically, you can do nasty things very quickly. You can put viruses on, malware on machines. You can put you can mess up the entire network if you really wanted to. Now, as far as that goes, how can you combat that? It's fairly simple. Well, what happens is you as an individual, as a worker, you might want to bring this up to your IT staff who's working there. They might not even know about this, But there's things called tokens. They really should know about this, but there's things called tokens, and basically it's a small device. There's a few different types, but most of them look like a USB drive. Sometimes they're like a credit card looking, or sometimes they're a mobile application, something you can put on your phone, so there's no physical access to it. And basically what would happen is the token itself will be synced to the database or some server somewhere that deals with the passwords. And depending on the token, depending on what you're using, every 10 seconds, every 5 seconds, every 30 seconds, usually it's on 30 seconds, but every so often the password changes. So when you press the token, you get a password, and you put in the username and password from there. And basically for the password section, you just copy what's on the token itself. So whatever it shows, you put it in, and there you go. And then 30 seconds or whatever amount of time later, the thing will change, and if you try to reuse a password, it's going to say it's invalid. The hacker, they'll get a invalid password because it obviously changed and they don't have a token, so that stops them. So that's an easy way. Now, with that being in mind, while you're going into the system, that doesn't stop them. So say, for example, if they have their Wi-Fi set up, you log in through their thing unknowingly, and you put your password, username, and password in there. As long as they keep the connection up, then basically what happens there is they can screw with the stuff left and right. So, and there's not much you can do to protect yourself from that point, but from a company standpoint, how do you protect yourself? Well, you can use things like freelance and a few other things, and the basic thing you got to realize is marketing and sales, they deal with the highest amount of interfacing with random people. So let's say something like security or IT or something else like that. Basically, a lot of those individuals should never really interface with outside. Any email address that's not company email, they shouldn't be getting it, and that should be a red flag right there. So if a security person is getting an email from someone outside, that should be a red flag. If a IT person is getting an email from someone outside, that should be a red flag. Obviously there's exceptions and whatever it may be, but for the most part, the ones who are really getting a mass amount of emails from the outside is marketing and sales. Sometimes HR, sometimes other departments, but those are the two, and they go through so many, they probably get several hundred, where there's no way they can say, I trust that person versus that. Now, because marketing and sales is about commission, and they tend to recycle those people every so often, but marketing, you tend to see them get swapped out so fast that it's not even worth learning names most of the time. Well, what happens there is most of them, they don't have the skills to see red flags. Okay, someone tried to get in our system now, a year later, well, most of the marketing and sales people are not there anymore, so they're not even going to know that's the red flag, unless someone had told them before. So that's a major thing, and that way when they click open an email, open an attachment, and open a file, whatever, and it affects their systems, if you got a VLAN in place, then it really should not spread across borders. It should not have spread from the marketing to sales to the manufacturing to basically everywhere else. It should be contained within the area. Yeah, the entire department is screwed for the time being, but it's contained. That's a major thing. Well, the same thing happens with something like this, is when someone's logging in and say the marketing got hacked, there's no reason why that hacker should have access to go from marketing to manufacturing. there's no, as far as 90 some odd percent of the companies, there's no legitimate reason why a marketing person needs to talk to someone on the manufacturing line, because otherwise what ends up happening is the hacker goes from the marketing to the manufacturing, screwing with conveyor belts, screwing with this, screwing with that, and then you got a bad time all around. Some people die because of that, or some other problems happen. And that's what you have to really keep in mind, because what happens is basically, if the network's not segregated, then you get these problems, and that's just unfortunate. Now, as far, again, as an individual, as an actual individual employee, if your company doesn't want to do tokens, if your company doesn't want to do this and this and this, there's not much you can do. You can just have to deal with it. The chances of someone actually hacking into a company like that is not that high. Mostly that's targeted. So unless the company is doing something very specific, then it's just not that high. Because the reason why is the hacker has to be physically out there for some time. And by the way, another way to protect the company is by having a barrier. I've seen some places where they have a mile barrier, a mile fence around the entire building, stuff of that nature. But that's possible in itself. But as far as this goes, as far as this stuff deals with, for the most part, you won't have to deal with that often, unless we're in hospitals or something of that nature. The simple reason why is that rarely requires the hacker to target a given company. Again, with the case of, oh, someone slept with whomever, let's go after him, that's a target. But if there's just nothing there, if your company's just dealing with corn, who cares? So there's that. Now, as far as that goes, hopefully this helped you out and understand what this is. And there's defenses for all this type of stuff, but it's one thing to note. But if you got any questions on this or anything else, feel free to send me an email. Right now, my comments are still messed up. YouTube is trying to fix that. But feel free to leave a comment, but it's best to leave emails, and that's my about section, also in the description. So check out that, and I'll try to check that out as soon as possible. And feel free to leave a like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you next video, and hope you have a great day.